Okay, so why isn't work an adventure? Well, if you talk to the kids, they say work sucks, right? So, sorry, the polite word is labor provides disutility, right? You learn that in Econ 101. So I have to pay people to work because it's such a terrible thing to do, right? So, except for you guys, not so much. And if you're a line worker at Zappos or Herman Miller or Whole Foods, by and large, you really dig your job. So what's that about? How do we go from work sucks to I love what I do? So I spent 8 years measuring brand activity while people worked to identify the factors within a culture at work that would tell us whether people really bring their whole heart and souls and energy to work, or if they are in the old world of labor disutility. So I was completely skeptical about this, and as Bob said, I was the first scientist to show that this brain chemical oxytocin tells us who in our environment we should trust. It does more than that. It motivates us to work on their behalf. So when this work hit the worldwide media about 10 years ago, eventually companies started knocking on our door saying, hey, we think trust is important within our organization. Can you tell us how to raise trust? I said, sure. We developed this assay in blood, and I can take blood from your employees. And they said, oh, God, they turned white. We can't do that. So I'm thinking, if I'm such a trust expert, how come I don't understand what's going on within organizations? So I'm a very nosy person. And so I went into organizations and just said, let me poke around. I'll give you a talk, I'll do something, let me come in and talk to people. And then eventually got permission to take blood from employees, to measure brand activity, and to give them tasks where we could quantify their productivity, their innovation, and measure things like retention and sick days and even body mass index to see what it is about these special organizations in which people love what they do. They're passionate about it. They have a very tight work-life integration. What makes them so special? And what makes them so special means how do I copy that into other organizations like yours? So I found two components of culture that really drive high levels of engagement: trust and purpose. So let me talk a little about both of those and make them actionable. So the first is trust. So I've been studying trust for about 15 years. We know that trust accelerates economic performance because it makes things more efficient, right? So if Mark and I trust each other, I can shake his hand, let's do a project, great. Maybe we sign a paper eventually, but we're gonna actually have a relationship. So how do we translate that from knowing what to do into doing it? So again, taking blood from your employees, not so cool. So we developed a survey so we can identify not only how much trust you have within an organization, but what its building blocks are. And it turned out there are 8 building blocks for organizational trust. I'm gonna go through those today in the follow-up session, but they have a really nice acronym, oxytocin. I don't know how that happened, but so basically it's a way to remember these 8 factors that you as leaders can influence to increase trust in your organization. So the idea here is that culture, once you can measure its key components, can be managed like any other business process. So just like in the total production system, I'm looking for inefficiencies and I try to intervene to correct those and then measure and see if it creates outcomes. We've created the same kind of system for culture, which is here's a survey, measure employees, see how well they're engaging in different behaviors. So again, I'm interested in behavior, not in intentions, right? I might intend to lose 5 pounds this year, but whether I do it or not is a different thing, right? So we measure sets of behaviors, and then we have a baseline, and then we identify, using the science, how to most effectively intervene in these 8 different building blocks of trust so that people are more engaged with each other. They work better as teams, and we've shown they're more productive, they're healthier, and they're happier. So trust has a huge leverage point on performance, and I'll give you data in my talk showing you how important trust is to improved performance. But trust alone doesn't do it. The second component is purpose. So there are different kinds of purpose in organizations. The normal one we think of is transactional purpose. That's the daily doing of buying and selling. But work by my late colleague Peter Drucker, Edward Stemming, lots of others, suggested that every organization also has a transcendent purpose. That's why you exist at all. Why are you here? Right? If someone's paying you for the service or good that you provide, it must be because it improves their lives. So understanding how your company actually improves the lives of customers, of employees, and of your community is this transcendent purpose, your reason for existence. So when employees understand this transcendent purpose, so they're doing something very important for their community, combined with working with a team that you can rely on, we see this double whammy, right? So now I get it, I love the people I work with, and at the same time, I really care about what I'm doing because it has an influence on the people around me. The neuroscience predicts that trust and purpose reinforce each other, and in addition, create a sense of enjoyment of work, right? So now I'm back to work being an adventure. Now I get it, right? I'm not here to earn minimum wage. I'm not here to, generate options on stock. I'm here because we're doing something important and cool with people that I want to work with. I want to show up every day with because they're doing that thing with me too. So how we combine these is also the difficult part. So again, now you know what to do. The second half, I'll tell you how to do it. And again, because I'm always skeptical of everything I'm doing, the book starts with me running an organizational experiment in the rainforest of Papua New Guinea. So I've literally been around the world trying to understand whether these factors are in fact universal. And I think the beauty of taking a scientific approach to this is that all brains roughly work the same way. And so if it works in Papua New Guinea, if it works at Zappos, it'll likely work in your company too. And once we have that structure, we understand that humans who are doing this work, right? They're not robots, they're not machines, they're not human capital. I hate that word. They're humans. And when you recognize that these humans care about things besides just a paycheck, and in fact, people acclimate quite quickly, as you know, to raises, give them an opportunity to embrace those things that human beings really care about, which is working with a trusted team and doing something that actually makes a difference in the world. So when you understand those two things and you can measure them, you can improve them, and you can improve performance. So making the link to performance required lots of work, including measuring companies, going in and intervening in culture, and identifying how much return on investment this produced. And recently we collected a nationally representative sample of US working adults and assessed people who work in high trust organizations, their outcome, their energy, sick days, all these measures, both subjective and objective, to see how much trust and purpose affect performance. Compare those people working in low trust companies, and the payoff is enormous. So returns on investment of like 500%. So every buck you spend, you're going to get $5 out of it. Why? Because this is what the humans like, right? So again, I sometimes think I do science because I'm really still trying to understand what these interesting species called humans are. I don't think I fully understand them yet, but I understand what they like. I understand how to create an environment where they can really flourish. And this is flourish in the grand sense. So not just at work, but in their personal lives, and really get a sense that, you know what, I'm nailing it. So we've shown, I think most excitingly, is that people who work in high trust organizations not only are more productive at work, they're happier and healthier outside of work, right? If you're not beat down at work, if you feel empowered, if you have the opportunity to do something important with people you care about, then when you come home, you also feel great about yourself. So high trust organizations not only are more productive, they're great for employees, but they strengthen communities. They create better citizens, better parents, better spouses. So this really hits the triple bottom line. Okay, so what can you do today? Consider everybody at work to be a volunteer, right? They're choosing volitionally to work for you, right? They can actually volunteer their energy and passion elsewhere. So if you think about, this is right out of Peter Drucker's playbook, by the way, think about creating an environment where people would show up to work even if they weren't paid. What would that kind of culture look like? It's a culture where you care a lot about what you're doing, of the people you're doing it with. So if you think of these individuals as volunteers, then this hangover from the 19th century of capital versus labor, you're an employee, I'm a manager, it all starts to float away. Everyone's a knowledge worker, right? So if you're a knowledge worker, I want to create an environment for you to use that knowledge, to grow that knowledge, and to do that certainly in the organization's framework to move the organization's objectives forward. So once you think of these individuals as volunteers, then you're thinking about what is most engaging for them. Secondly, how will you know? So we'll talk about measurement in the second half of today's program, but an easy way is just to assess how much people enjoy their jobs. You can do a survey. The question we use is, on a typical day, how much do you enjoy your job, 1 to 5? If you're getting 4s and 5s, awesome, you're doing great. If you're getting 1s and 2s, not so much, right? So if you're getting in the lower scale on this enjoying my job, the result of that shouldn't be Taco Tuesday or Karaoke Friday. It should be increased trust, increase the understanding of the purpose of our organization. Those are your levers to give people the satisfaction of doing something important, have them put their heart and soul into what you're working on so that they feel like they're doing something important. When you do that, you've created this high trust culture that reinforces itself with new employees, and the long run view is this is going to be a sustainable, high growth business that you've created. So trust and purpose, your key components. Think of employees as volunteers and assess how much they enjoy their jobs. When you have those components, then you have a way to begin to think about creating a high trust, high performance culture. Thank you for listening.